What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Ford Air. Today we're here, Banks Power, and we got Lightning.
What's happening, guys?
What up, dude?
You can call me Jay, that's fine. Lightning is the on-air name, so.
That's how I know you.
That's fine. Lightning on the Truck Show podcast as well. So we're here at my day job. This is Banks Power in Azusa, California. Of course, the main building behind us, that's where Solomon just checked in. Now, we have 9 buildings on the campus here. Behind me is admin, tube shop, and CNC. Then there are 2 buildings behind this that are manufacturing, warehouse, logistics, and some more admin. Then when you flip across the street, and then we've got these 2 buildings over here. You've got the gray and the brown building. Those are actually connected now. We married them, and that's Banks Tech. So Banks Tech is the manufacturing plant for all of the engines that go into the JLTV. So the Joint Light Tactical Vehicle replaced the Humvee. It's made by Oshkosh. And every one of those JLTVs has a Banks D866T diesel engine in it. It starts its life as a Duramax engine at the Moraine, Ohio Duramax plant. And then Banks parts go on the line. And then what parts can't go on the line, those engines come here for final assembly. And as you'll see those stacks on the building, those are the 3 dynos. So we have engine dynos. Every single engine gets assembled by one man. Well, each man gets an engine and they all get signed off, kind of like Mercedes, AMG, where it's the guy signs the engine. Yeah. Similar program here. Then the engines get dynoed, they get picked up in a truck, and they are brought to Oshkosh, Wisconsin, and dropped into a JLTV. So that's that business over there. Then we have the race shop, which I'll take you over to in this building. And then the far building over here is electrical engineering and mechanical engineering. All of the Banks tuners, the speed brakes, the pedal monster throttle boosters, the I-dashes, all of the electronics are designed and tested here. And all of they're actually assembled about 2 miles from here in another building in Monrovia. All of our mechanical parts are designed and built by our mechanical engineering department, which is also in this building. We've packed a lot of people on this campus, and I'll take you through.
Dude, this is really cool. I had no idea how big this place was.
Yeah.
You know, I think Banks, and I'm like, I didn't know that you guys even did the military program. That's amazing.
Yeah.
This whole place is just like mind-blowing.
It's nuts. Also, if you see the building back there, we just bought that one as well. It's got the ladder on it way back there.
Yeah.
So that's another 30,000 square foot building that we just purchased. That will be our logistics hub.
Nice.
So we're gonna move our logistics from here over there, and I can't tell you what we're gonna be doing with the open space because that's top secret, but you'll hear about it very soon. And then we have a couple other warehouses behind those for storage of some of our race cars and stuff.
Nice.
And then we have a collection of race cars over at the NHRA Museum in Pomona, California. So those are like our land speed record cars and things like that. So we have stuff spread everywhere.
Yeah. That's super cool. I can't wait to check all this stuff out.
All right, so we'll start across the street here. Some records, FIA records. These are all Bonneville, as you guys know. Gail Banks is responsible for quite a few records at the Bonneville Salt Flats in Utah. So we've got GM powered vehicles. We have Cummins powered vehicles. Today, people think Banks are like, oh, you guys are the Duramax guys. We have a long history with Cummins engines as well.
That's how I actually know you guys. I'm on the Cummins side of stuff. You know, being
Right.
a Ford guy, we don't really deal with, you know, a lot of the Chevy stuff or GM stuff, but I've always known you guys for Cummins. So I think it's pretty cool that you transitioned and now you guys have basically an array of everything, right? You do
Correct.
all 3 of the big ones?
Exactly, the Ford, Ram, and GM. Yeah.
Super cool. Some
Couple
more
of
trophies
over there, exactly.
Heck yeah. So which building are we in now?
Right now we're in the race shop. So we're in the 547 building, and we started off across the street, walked over here. I figured everyone's seen a tube bending shop in a warehouse. You guys know what that looks like, right? So we'll take you out to the race shop here.
Oh, nice.
So this is where a lot of the magic happens. As some of you may know, if you're following Banks' channel on YouTube, we've got a series called Banks Built, and that's about that truck over there, which I'll explain in a minute. The reason we're building this 1966 Chevy C20 is to highlight our new crate engine program, as we're calling it, the turnkey engine program. And what that is at the end of the year, you'll be able to buy diesel engines based on the Duramax platform, similar to what we do for the military. But these you'll be able to buy for repower in a a pre-emissions vehicle or marine application, that type of thing. You'll buy it in whether it will be a supercharged Duramax, a twin turbo, or a super turbo, which I will show you in a minute. So that's a supercharged twin turbo.
What?
Those will be the configurations you'll be able to buy. Now they're
Supercharged
all of our
twin turbo?
Now our parts, it'll be I'll get to that in a second. So what's crazy about this is that most engine builders will buy like an LS or something. They'll buy an engine and they'll get it to their shop and they'll tear it down and they'll put all their parts on it. That's not what's happening here. Our parts, our Banks parts, are going onto the Duramax engine or in the Duramax engine, in the case of like the crankshaft, at Duramax Limited in Moraine, Ohio.
Wow.
So our parts, we're the only manufacturer where our parts are going into that engine and then coming to us as a Banks Duramax engine.
Wow.
That's pretty unique. And then of course we'll do final assembly here, either at Banks Tech across the street or here. Most likely it'll happen at Banks Tech since they're the engine builders.
Yeah.
And so we come over to this truck.
I've been wanting to see Lockjaw in person.
So this is a crazy truck. We figured if we're gonna put an engine in a truck, why not bag it and put it on the ground? So this has a roadster shop chassis, a bag chassis. And this will be a supercharged version, as you can see. This is a 3D print of the new Whipple 3.8 liter twin screw supercharger, and we've got 3D printed 5-inch inlets. So these right here, I'll show you like this guy. You can actually see, I mean, look to my head here. You can see how big these inlets are. This will go,
dude, that's massive.
Right here.
And you're gonna make some inlets.
Yeah, so we have a huge cutout happening right here for our big ass air filters.
Dang.
So this
dude, that's
is all
gonna be
in
crazy.
works. And this is not like some show you'd find on ABC or NBC. This is happening in real time. It wasn't taped months before.
Yeah. You could go to his YouTube channel, you'll probably see it at this stage right now.
Yeah, literally. And Willwood just dropped off some stuff, and that episode will go up this Thursday. I don't know when this is launching, but about the time you guys are seeing this, you can see the Willwood episode where they come and drop off big brakes. Our master cylinder is here. We just fabricated this whole assembly. Eric, who's walking by, and Matt created this assembly to hold our steering linkage and the master cylinders. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, it's a really fun build. I mean, the whole thing is completely ratty and rusty, as you can see.
I still think it started out, the coolest part is someone basically gave you guys this.
Yeah, yeah. They sold us this truck for $1.
I think that's the coolest part of the whole thing. And then you probably didn't know what you were going to do with it. Snowball effect.
That's exactly what happened. It was going to start. It came with a it ran and drive. We drove it around with the Mr. Goodwrench 350. Somebody in 1999 had swapped out and put they swapped from a manual trans to an automatic trans, and then put a Goodwrench 350 in it, and then drove it for a bunch of years, and then it sat in someone's backyard starting in 2014 to about a year ago, when it was sold to us for $1. And then now it's officially a Banks project truck and the whole thing. So and what's going to be unique is the hood is being designed so it opens this way, suicide, and then the bed, we're splitting the bed along the parting line, and the top half is going to dump this way.
Huh.
So you'll stand here and you'll look down into the drive line. You'll see the carbon fiber QA1 drive shaft. You'll see the strange rear end, the bag system. You'll see the cylinders for the air, for the air, the whole nine.
Is this one of their spec chassis, or is this a fast track?
This is a spec series chassis.
Okay. And I'm assuming there's a lot of custom stuff.
Well, it's 8-lug. This is the first 8-lug spec series, the first 8-lug chassis. That wasn't one of their RS4s.
Yeah, that's what's throwing me off. It looks so beefy compared to the ones that I've seen in the past.
Yeah, I mean, if you look up here, you can shoot through here and you can see, so Kibby Tech, which does some really amazing off-road suspension, they built these knuckles for us right here, based on the Willwood Pro spindle. Okay. But this is an 8-lug, that's a GM hub out of a 2017 Duramax.
This thing's gonna be nuts.
Yeah, 8-lug hub. So this is, we wanted to keep it. This was a C20. It's not a C10, C20, and they came with 8 lugs.
Yeah. So
we wanted to keep it 8 lug.
Are you more excited to launch the engine program, or are you more excited to finally have a truck that you can mob around town?
I'm honestly more excited about the engine. And the reason is that when people are deciding who to buy an intake or an exhaust or a tuner from, would you buy it from some guy in a corrugated steel building in the middle of the wilderness? You know, like putting stuff together on a card table, or would you rather buy it from the people who make and sell the engines?
And for literally the last, what, 2, 3 centuries?
Since 1958. I think that when people know that they can buy the engine and the tuning from us, it changes the game.
It does, and it's a certain level of reliability. You know you have the warranty, you also have the peace of mind, and that's the most important thing. Is right now, like, everybody's trying to sell diesel engines, and you can see them all over the place, rebuild this and that. You could buy it, you have no idea. You just spend all your money, you finally, after 6 months, you get it fired up, and something might be wrong with it.
Right.
I'm sure over here, that's not the case.
No. I mean, every single engine, like I said, it gets dynoed. We've spent hundreds, if not thousands of hours on the tuning and every single component of this engine. So the recipient of one of these engines that's going into an old C10 or F100, he's getting that technology, that reliable technology that we have tested over and over and over again.
That's cool. Do you guys know yet some of the preliminary numbers, or you don't release any of that?
No, we don't, because we're still, like, the supercharger thing was, we wanted, everyone is familiar with turbo lag, regardless of what the platform is, right?
Yep.
We wanted to have one that had 0 lag. Well, the way to do that is with a supercharger. So this is the first time anyone's done it like this. So we're going to have, we'll announce the numbers, obviously, before we release the engine program. Yep. But no, this is just a mock-up engine. We have another one that's going to the dyno, and that will undergo all the testing.
Gotcha. What else do you guys do in here?
So we've got, as you can hear, there's all the noise going on. They're making everything that goes in our dynos, meaning the bracketry, the tubes, the water lines, the gas lines, all that, we do everything in-house. 100% of it is in-house. We don't hire out for a consultancy to come in and build our dyno cells. Everything is designed and built here.
Wow. Got some cool tools.
This truck, this is a 2020 Duramax. We're doing some final fitment on an exhaust system here. We have a negative back pressure exhaust system. It's a 5-inch system, but it actually will gain you about 17 horsepower, which blows minds. People, you have a DPF. You can't gain power after a DPF. You can. You can gain power, and we're going to prove it. We have a video coming out to explain how that works.
Nice. I'm excited to watch it.
Yeah.
What is this massive thing over here?
So this is a V12 out of a tank.
Wow.
V12 out of a tank. If you're familiar with Jay Leno's tank car, anyone that see Jay Leno cruise around that crazy polished aluminum bodied, bizarre looking, he calls it the tank car, this is the sister engine. We built the manifolds, we built the tuning and a lot of other stuff for his engine. This is the sister.
Wow.
So he didn't have to give us his engine. We had a spare that we could work on, and we just figured it was kind of cool to look at and kept it here.
It is. That thing's huge. It's like 5 Coyote motors put together.
We were just getting ready to shoot some videos, and we've kind of moved things around in here a little bit. But you've got different engines that we've got here. As you're a Cummins guy, you're familiar with the famous Monster Ram intake elbow right here.
Oh, yeah.
You're familiar with the intercooler, our ram air system. These are just examples, show engines. This guy right here was built originally for the Brodozer, the Diesel Brothers monster truck. And as Monster Jam is currently on hiatus, there's no monster trucks right now, so this is on pause. But this is a twin turbo supercharged Duramax, 7-liter Duramax.
How big is this freaking supercharger?
That's a 5-liter.
Wow, I didn't even know they made one that big. Yep,
so you go twin precision turbos that blow up and through the first intercooler into the Whipple, and then the Whipple discharges through another intercooler, and then it's into the intake here.
Wow.
Into the manifold.
I don't know how Gale has enough time to come up with all the cool he does.
Makes time. It's his passion. You know, he's like I say, he's been doing this since 1958, and he's here all the time. I mean, he's here 6 and 7 days a week. He just is so passionate about it.
That's incredible.
Yeah. 3D printers over here, a marine version of a Duramax here. We're doing some experimentation with this guy. This is a flow bench right here. So what a flow bench does is we can test when you see like, oh, this intake flows a certain number of cubic feet per minute of air, right? This is the bench that gets tested. We'll buy any one of our competitors' intakes, and we will flow every single piece of it. The air filter, and the tube. Then the tube, then the air filter, the tube, and the air box. Then just the air box. That we will know every single piece of the competitor and how they flow and where their advantages and disadvantages are, and then we will make sure that we win.
My favorite thing was when Gail was starting to compare all the diff covers. I had so much fun watching that series.
Yeah, it was amazing.
It was so funny.
And that started just by asking the question, what do these things do? That honestly, we did not start off by saying we're gonna go make diff covers. We said, do these things do anything? Because people may not know this. Back in the 90s and early 2000s, we were a Mag High-Tech dealer. We still technically have a Mag High-Tech account. Like in our install bays across the street, we were putting Mag High-Techs on. And we just weren't questioning whether they worked. We just said, oh, they say they work and they must. And then we started thinking about like, what are these things actually doing here? And then we started looking into it, and we looked at the airflow behind the diff cover and the fluid dynamics happening inside the diff cover, all of the flat back covers. And we discovered quickly that there are some real issues happening inside. Severe aeration, which is where you're taking your oil and you're turning it into cake batter. And you don't want air in your oil. Air is not a good lubricator. Oil is a good lubricator. So don't force air into the oil. And that's what was happening in a lot of these covers. So flash forward, we ended up making our own. It took us a year and a half to do it, but you know, you end up with something like this where the interior follows the original curvature of, or I should say, the interior follows the curvature of the stock cover, because the American Axle and Sterling, those guys, they know what they're doing, right? So we have our ring gear raceway, so the oil goes up and around unobstructed. We have a lot of surface area happening in here to help reject heat to the outside of the cover, okay? And we have directional fluid guides that take some of the oil up and out to the axle tubes. But most important is that we discovered that on the highway, we had a couple of anemometers, which you would have seen in the video, which is looks like a little fan, and it measures air velocity, airspeed. And we found out that your axle works as a really good wedge. And by that I mean you're going down the highway and your axle splits the air behind and it comes over the diff, and it doesn't come together again until about 30 inches after the diff. So no air is rushing over the face. So it doesn't matter how good you think your diff cover is doing, it can't reject the heat because it doesn't have cold air rushing over it. So how do we get cold air to rush over it? It's coming over and it's doing this. Well, what if we grab the air with scoops on the bottom and we direct the air up and through the fins right here?
Yeah.
And that's exactly what we did.
Literally so make a chamber.
We created breakaway fins, right? Now this is a billet, this is the first gen, but our production pieces are all perforated right here, so if you hit one on a rock, the ram air scoops will bust off.
Gotcha.
And they will not affect the seal, you can keep on driving down the road.
Nice.
But yeah, we've got, this was the original one back 2 years ago that we debuted at SEMA. It's actually, this is billet painted to look like a die cast piece. And we also die cast ours. Everybody else sand cast, we die cast them like a Hot Wheels toy, right? And that's a different technology, and there's no porosity. I could go on for hours about a diff cover, but suffice it to say, the Ram Air diff cover is the best one on the market, period. It just is.
And you make them for a whole bunch of different applications, right? Dyno 60, 70, 80?
No, unfortunately not that many yet. I mean, they're very time consuming to make. We have one for the American Axle, which is the 01 Ram and 01 2500. So both 25 and 3500s Ram and GM. From 01 to current.
Okay.
We also have the Ford Sterling axle, which is the all the tremor packages, for example, have that on the Ford. We have the Dana 80 coming out. We have all the 2020 and current Ram and GM trucks. So all the big full-size trucks,
Yeah.
we're toying with the idea of going back and doing the Dana 80, the 70s and 60s and stuff like that. But as of right now, I think we're focused on just really super serving the 3/4 and 1 ton truck market.
Very cool.
Yeah. So normally I'd take you over there, but they're working on super secret stuff. So I'm gonna cover the lens right here.
I'm gonna write top secret across there.
Exactly. So Mike, who is our engine connoisseur in the back, he is putting together an engine that is going to, well, I can't say
blow
where it's
minds.
going yet. Well, you won't ever see it. Like, that's the unfortunate part, is that I can't show it to you and you won't see it because it's, yeah. All right, come on over here. I got something to show you. This is some serious history of diesel performance right here. For those of you that think, like, what does Banks know about diesel performance? Gale was responsible for starting diesel performance back in the early 80s. This is the GM 6.2 liter that came in pickup trucks for many, many years. But Gale was given a Firebird back in the day, in the early 80s, and GM gave him this Firebird to go set a world record at the Bonneville Salt Flats. And as part of this, they gave him 2 pickup trucks with this engine with no turbo, because they didn't have turbos back then. He gets back to California and says, these things are dogs, I'm gonna make them faster. So he and Bob Robe and a couple of the other guys designed a turbo system, and they put it on this engine. Flash forward a couple years later, this was the first turbo diesel engine available, period. You could walk into your GMC dealer and buy a Gale Banks turbo on your GM 6.2 liter Suburban or pickup truck, and it beat Cummins by a full year as far as turbos on diesel engines go in pickup trucks.
Wow.
A full year, we beat them. So Gale has been doing turbo diesels in pickup trucks before anyone.
Wow.
So that's why this engine is so important.
And I guess that's why they call him the Godfather of diesel performance.
And if you go, you'll see these engines pop up on Craigslist or the pickup trucks every once in a while with the turbo system. Guys have the original placard under the hood and things like that. It's pretty cool to see them pop up here and there.
That is really cool. And it looks really pretty. At least this one does.
Yeah, most of them do not look that pretty.
No, if you use it and it doesn't sit inside here all year.
Yeah. So let's explain something that's going on this table really quick. I went out, I drove about an hour out to the desert and found this grill. The guy wanted $750 for this grill to go on Lockjaw. Now, no one's seen this, so you're seeing this before anybody else. The reason we bought this one, this was out of a 1960. Our truck over there is a 66. This is a 1960 grill. And we wanted this because it had dual headlights as opposed to ours that had singles.
Gotcha.
Why do we want duals? We want to put velocity stacks in here, right here,
Nice.
right? And we want to funnel the air directly into our intake.
That's going to come into where you said you're going to cut to put the big 5-inch.
That's exactly right. I'm going to grab Matt for a second. Hold on.
Okay.
Hey Matt, can you down here for a second?
Calling the
Getting
engineer.
one of our engineers.
It must be nice to have a couple of them on deck, huh?
Exactly.
Hey, Matt.
So, Matt, if you can explain to Ford Air over here how this system will work. You left this on the table, so I was about to abscond with it here.
Good.
Step on up close because he's got this little bitty microphone here. How does
no problem.
How does this work and why are we doing
So
this?
did we talk about this grill already?
Well, I basically said that we bought it because it has dual headlights.
Yep.
That's the sole purpose.
Yeah, so we are going to have air filters mounted behind this grill, and we want to get all the airflow through the grill and into those filters. So we're going to use this headlight as a mounting place for a ram air tube.
Nice.
So we're going to be able to use the vehicle's forward velocity to translate that into pressure going into the filter. So we're going to have these rounded entries
Yes,
here.
as Gale calls this, the poor man's supercharger.
Yeah.
You're getting Mother Nature as you're driving, pushing air into the system, so you're pre-charging basically.
Yeah, we translate velocity into pressure into the filter. So we're going to do that with this rounded entry, and then we're going to enter into an air box that houses our filter. And what I've got here is just a quick visual representation that you can see what we're going to do with the entry. So this just shows this K number here is known as a loss coefficient or a resistance coefficient to flow entering into our pipe section. Our pipe section being this area here that's going to then meet up with the filter. So you can see if we stick out, we want this number to be low, like in golf, right? So we're
like
going
to par.
Yeah, exactly. So if the pipe sticks out past the wall, this number is really high. If we're square edged or sharp edged right here, the number drops a little bit, but it's still really high. We round it up a little bit, the number starts to drop quite a bit. We put a nice radius entry on it, and we see that K factor drop significantly compared to it sticking out or having a sharp edge corner. So we're gonna make a piece here. We'll either 3D print it or we'll make it on the lathe, and we'll put a nice radius entry into that, so we'll reduce resistance and reduce pressure loss as we ram air into that filter.
Awesome. Matt, thanks so much for the lesson.
You got it. All right, guys.
And the part that I care about, we get to remove this piece right here and go BANKS right in the center.
Dude, that's gonna be really cool. And I'm assuming you're getting a whole bunch of 3D stuff done on that?
Oh yeah, so that's what all these dots are. So these are reflective dots, and then we can laser scan this whole thing, and this is already put into SolidWorks, but we can design what Matt wants to do first is of course design this air duct right here. But then ultimately we can use and we can shape a whole new center section here if we decide to put our logo or something in the, in the dead center of the grill.
Nice.
Yeah. You can't look that way.
Okay.
So I'm gonna stand like this.
Yeah,
and
top secret.
You can't see in the dyno cell. Now normally, behind me, there's a dyno cell too.
Here, look, I'll put it like this.
Okay, there you go. Oh, you got my fat belly in your camera view here. All right, so as soon as this engine is done and out and shipped off to wherever it's going to go, we're gonna wheel back in our Duramax L5P, and we will continue to try to kill it in front of the world. And if anyone's following along on that series, it's been paused for a few months because we had to get these engines in for this project we're working on that I can't talk about, but we've got a series called Killing a Duramax where we've got it an engine and we're pushing it to the point where it's going to break. We don't know where it's going to break or what's going to happen, but we've censored it to death. Everything is a pressure, temp, velocity, everything is censored. So when something does break, we'll know exactly what it is. And so far with the stock internals, we're over 1,000 horsepower.
Wow.
Now it does have our cam in it, and it's got a new intake. But other than that, all the internals, the rings, the pistons, the rods, the crank, it's all stock. And we're seeing how far can we push it. And the world will find out. If we, if we spray the engine, the dyno cell with parts, that'll be the end.
There you go.
But it's a fascinating series. Yeah, there's a lot of data. This is Gale's GT, so it's under the cover here. So it's red and white.
The real GT.
And then the license plate is and blue.
Oh, really? I like
Red,
that.
white,
I like that a lot. Man, that's cool. What is it, like a 05?
It's an 05, exactly. Then you've got the dyno cell, so we just underwent a massive, the reason for some of this, all this gear that's laying out here, normally this place is spick and span, but this is all leftovers from stuff we pulled out of the two dyno cells. We've just redone the dyno cells with AVL equipment. And I'd love to be able to show you that, but I can't. But what AVL is a brand, and they make the emissions equipment most famously known for outing Volkswagen. If you remember the Dieselgate, when Volkswagen was caught lying about their emissions tests, etc.
Yeah, like 5-6 years ago.
Exactly. This is the same equipment. We use this equipment here to look at emissions, it's all of our dyno equipment. We know that our equipment will pass a California Air Resource Board test, a CARB emissions test, before we even send it to CARB for approval. So we will develop a new tuner for like the Ram truck or the Ford or the Duramax, and we'll know that that will pass well in advance of going to officially apply for it. This equipment is state of the art, and we just did both cells, and it's incredible.
Awesome.
It's super expensive, but that's where we need to take the company.
Absolutely, you need it. And I mean, like you said, you rather know that you're going to pass CARB prior to sending something there than, oh shoot, we failed, let's redo our homework, let's see if we pass the next time.
Well, like I was there, and I love the Cobb guys. Cobb tuning is amazing. The Cobb guys were at CARB and sit there with laptops, and they were having to make changes to their tuning in real time, sitting there. We don't want to have to do that. My goal is to go there with a final tune, and it works because we know it worked, right?
Nice.
That's the plan.
What else do you guys do in here?
So then the guys are still working on here. Like if you can kind of peek through and see what's going on. These are We've got Dave is still doing some final electrical on the dyno cell, and Aaron is on the far side now. He's actually running an engine. You can kind of hear it. He just fired up the dyno cell, the fans.
Yep.
So they move a ton of air through the dyno cell to keep the engine cool, but I can't show you because both cells are being used for stuff.
Top secret.
Yeah. Random trucks that are being worked on. We've got our 07 Ram here that we're doing some testing on. We've got our, I can show you something. Check this. This is our 2020 Ram. Pretend we're not here. Rob's working over here. Okay. If you look at it here, you recognize this guy right here? This is our new Banks Monster Ram Gen 2. This is a 50 state emissions compliant Monster Ram.
Wow.
Exactly.
Wow.
So if any of you guys are familiar with our very popular Monster Ram intake elbow for race applications only, this is now the one that you can bolt on your truck in all 50 states.
For streets.
For streets.
That is a game changer.
It is a game changer, and it will be available on the market in just a couple of weeks. If you notice, it has a foot on the top and it accepts the EGR system. And also you'll notice that little shiny piece of billet on the bottom is our heater grid delete. For you guys in colder weather, you want to get high performance, but you still need a grid heater because you need to preheat the air. Well, how did we solve that? Over here, we have a spiral style heater where my finger's touching, and it's like a pencil, and it goes straight down into the airstream. Bolts on right here, and we provide this as part of the kit, and it does not obstruct any airflow. So you get all the benefits. You get to preheat your air and unobstructed flow. It's amazing.
That is really cool.
Super stoked on this.
Man, you guys consistently are just trying to blow people's minds in the diesel performance world.
That's the goal. That's the goal.
Everybody else is over here freaking out. Oh, we can never do anything anymore, and you guys are over here
it
making
just
it
takes
happen.
more work. It takes a guy like Rob, like constantly testing and tuning and testing and tuning. Like right behind you, this is an oven. Why do we have an oven? It's designed to test the electronic components. How hot can we get them before they fail? And it's connected to a laptop, and we know exactly how hot we get before it fails. Like for example, if you're in Arizona in 120-degree heat, and you parked your truck up on the top of the launch ramp, and you come out, and you know how hot it is when you get in. It's like a gazillion degrees. Imagine what's happening under the hood. We have to know the failure point of our electronics, and this is just one of the many devices we have to check that.
Wow.
So I'm going to be kind of quiet here. I'm going to take it in real quick. All of the electronics here at Banks are designed in this room right here. So we've got all the guys working around. You can see circuit design over here. You can see tuning happening on the far side over here. We've got pedal monster calibrations happening on the far corner. We have circuit board design on both corners. There's a lot going on. And then if you go through this hall, that's the test group. So everything that these guys design in this room, the next group over there, they have to test it and validate it, and then bring the research back or their findings back to these guys, and they make the changes. So these two groups work hand in hand.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And there's air conditioning in here.
Oh yeah, it's easy in here. I don't know if I can show you. It's kind of boring in here. We'll cut that.
Actually, that's funny. I'll just leave it.
Now, normally there's a truck out here. There's almost always a truck out here, but it's lunchtime, so they pulled one off. So this is our chassis dyno.
Well, we're gonna go walk through, and we'll find you guys as soon as we get to the next spot. All right, so now we just crossed the street. We went back to the first building, and Jay, what do we have here?
I figured I'd show you the tube shop and CNC. Come on, let's go. We try to make as much as we possibly can here on campus. And if we can't make it here, we've got partners around Southern California and all over the US that help us. But this is our CNC shop over here. They're doing some final. We've got, these are elbows that are going into V10 kits for motorhomes.
Huh.
We do a lot of RV stuff, people that you may not know about. We're huge in the RV community.
So you'll get in one of your casted parts, then over here they'll just go over, finish some of the nice surfaces.
So, we finish all the surfaces, we put in the threads, things like that, right?
Nice.
Then we've got a brand new tube bender. It's lunchtime here, so it's kind of quiet, but we'll do the swedging. We do the notching. You'll see there's an entire crate of headers over here. Those look like Jeep headers.
We got some right here.
Then all the raw goods will come in the back. They come through the door on the far side over here. They get cut, and we have all the jigs up top over here. So what we do is when we know we're going to do a run of exhaust systems, we pull the jig downstairs. We put it on one of the machines. Like I said, if you look over here, we'll come around. All the raw material is going to get chop sawed and cut to length over here, put on these mobile racks, and then they're going to go to the stations over here, and the guys will do all the tube bending. And then when it's bent, then we'll bring it over to one of the 6 welding stations, and these guys will do all the final welding. He's got a set of headers over here that he's welding.
See, what I really enjoy is supporting an American company that actually makes like all the parts or most of the parts in America.
Yeah.
And that's what I think is really cool, because so many companies are an American company, but almost nothing is made here. They just bring it in and,
right.
Hey, here.
Well, you're standing in Azusa, California right now. This is not China.
Exactly. It's right here on your sleeve, you know?
Exactly. Boom. Yeah, so we've got all the tube benders. Like I said, normally these are all going. It's at lunchtime. Well, there's the far ones going. We're doing all of our 3-inch, or 3.5-inch, and 4-inch mandrel bent exhaust systems here. And like I said, the bigger 5-inch stuff are done on the brand new machine.
Very cool. Very, very cool.
See, look at this. All the collectors. Like that.
Man, you guys got tubing for days.
I'm telling you, look at this stuff. I believe this is an exhaust system for a 13 to 18 Ram, 6.7 liter, 5-inch. And we'll go through this tubing in less than a week.
Wow. And those are what, 20-foot pieces?
Yeah, 20-foot sticks.
Wow.
Now, you guys remember Raiders of the Lost Ark? At the very end, when they walk into they take the Ark of the Covenant and they go into the warehouse and they pack it away, and it looks like it goes on for miles. It's kind of that way with you've all seen warehouses before, and this is no different. We've got a big warehouse, we've got to store and ship everything. This is where it happens.
Nice.
Right there.
We're gonna walk over to the next spot. We'll pick you up there. All right, guys, so we just finished up the tour. I'm gonna bust out the drone, gonna get some cool B-roll footage and just fly around. Jay, thank you so much for the time. I really appreciate it. Where can everybody check you guys out?
Thank you, by the way, for coming out. I feel like I ripped you off by only giving you guys half the tour because of the military work that I can't show you. There's a full building and a half we couldn't go in today, but maybe when you come back next time we can do it.
Yeah.
Be cool.
I think so.
At Banks Power on social. If you want to follow Banks Built, which is that C20 that you saw over there, that's Banks Built on YouTube. Just Banks Power anywhere, you'll find us for sure. Here's your hat.
Dude.
Support your local diesel shop.
I love it. Thank you so much.
And if you get a chance, if you're into podcasts, the Truck Show Podcast, at Truck Show Podcast, or wherever you get your podcasts. It's the #1 truck enthusiast podcast. I host it along with a guy named Sean Holman, and he's from Motor Trend, and I think it's pretty good. It's kind of like a morning radio show, but all about trucks.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it a lot. I listen to it on all my road trips. Only thing I would say is you guys need to do more of them, but I think it's just for me because I consume podcasts so fast because I'm always on the road.
I do not have enough time. We do. It's like 2.5 hours every week. They come out every Monday. So just like clockwork, Monday Morning Drive, we got a new podcast for you every week. Like I said, Spotify, Pandora, iHeart, Odyssey, no matter where you get it, Google, we're there, Truck Show Podcast.
Awesome. I'm gonna pull out the drone, catch you guys in a second.